Good evening, good evening, good evening, my YouTube family. It is Monday, February the 22nd. And of course, this is Keeping Up with Congress. I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Please like, please subscribe, please hit that notification button, please share. Woo, we got to keep up with these people. Because guess what? We're holding them accountable. We're looking for opportunities in legislation. Where is the money? Who is it going to? How do we get some of it, y'all? We are not playing. No more do we go to these polls and show up and give away this vote for free. Those days are over. We're holding our elected officials accountable, and we're harnessing our political power. We are not going back to the polls and giving this away for free. We're going to be keeping receipts in these political streets, right? All right, let's get this party started. There's a lot to cover tonight. Let me share my screen, which I already am. Let me make it larger. Of course, you know this is brought to you by Withhold the Vote. All righty. Y'all, Representative Burgess Owens out of Utah. If y'all did not see this HR 40 hearing, you gotta go back and watch it. You gotta go back and watch it. It is, I got through as much as I could with Herschel Walker, and honestly, I just couldn't take no more. I still haven't been able to pull myself to watch the rest of that video, which I'm going to. I just haven't been able to do it. But Representative Burgess Burgess Owens out of Utah, he says that reparations is unfair and heartless for Democrats to raise Black Americans' hopes for reparations, y'all. What we gonna do with these Black folks that look like us, that ain't they skin to us but ain't kin to us? Ooh-wee. Let's take a look at what he said. Let me scroll through this a little bit. Representative Burgess Owens, Utah. Let me make this a little larger, y'all, so you can see it. I don't want you to miss a beat here. Representative Burgess Owens, representative out of Utah. He opposes reparations, y'all, and says he opposes reparations for slavery, likening it to a wealth redistribution and socialism, while calling for Black Americans to view themselves as a people with a proud history instead of as oppressed victims. Shaking my damn head, y'all. Owens, whose great-great-grandfather was a slave, condemned slavery as an evil practice, but said that reparations is not the way to right our country's wrongs during a hearing before the House Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties. He says that it is impractical and a non-starter for the United States to pay reparations. It is also unfair and heartless to give Black Americans the hope that this is a reality. The reality is that Black American history is not one of a hapless, hopeless race oppressed by a more powerful white race. Oh my gosh, y'all. It is instead a history of millions of middle and wealthy class Black Americans throughout the early 20th century achieving their American dream. I don't know what kind of dream he was in or his family was in. Owens went on to say that the concept of reparations is far from a new idea, saying it has been attempted over the past century and resulted in the misery and death of more than 100 million people. It is called redistribution of wealth or socialism, he clarified. Owens looked with pride to advancements Black Americans have achieved in his lifetime. He noted that when he entered the NFL in 1973, there it is, y'all. He's one of them, just like Herschel. Somebody made a comment that they were playing when the helmets were squishy. He noted that when he entered the NFL in 1973, there were no black quarterbacks, centers, or middle linebackers, which were known as at the time as white thinking man positions. He said, the U.S. has elected a black president and a black vice president. It's called progress. Owens concluded by stressing the importance of recognizing black history. Once we lose our history, we lose our pride in our past. Pride in our past. We were slaves, dude. Oh my God. Appreciation for our present and a vision for our future, he says. If we're sincere about repaying Black Americans for our loss, let's give us back our history. We don't want that damn history. Y'all, Representative Owens, Utah, from the HR 40 hearings. This was his account on Fox News. Always trying to bring you some information that is specific to Black businesses. So here's one, Black business leaders to share keys to success in the new MFHA webinar. So if you go to this, if you're interested in opening a restaurant or you know somebody who is, restaurantbusinessonline.com. So that is restaurantbusinessonline.com. It says, while the restaurant and food industry is one of the most diverse industries in our economy, we know Black people are underrepresented when it comes to ownership. Training and access to capital remain significant barriers for Black women and men who want to own their restaurants. So Gary Fernandez, president and co-founder of the Multicultural Food Service and Hospitality Alliance, leads a panel of Black professionals as they discuss the obstacles along the way, as well as the success achieved in becoming multi-unit restaurant owners. 3 entrepreneurs will share how their leadership, their perseverance, and creativity helped them sustain their brands through ups and downs. So this is on the 24th, that is Wednesday at 2 p.m. for anybody that is interested in owning their own restaurant or getting into the restaurant business that's Black. Again, restaurantbusinessonline.com. I always try to bring you reparations information and some information that will help us in coming out of this pandemic strong. All right, let's dive into the legislation, y'all. Senate bills tonight. Senate Bill 201 is a bill to establish a program ensuring access to accredited continuing medical education for primary care physicians and other healthcare providers at federally qualified health centers and rural health clinics, to provide training and clinical support for primary care providers to practice at their full scope and improve access to care for patients in underserved communities. Now, this might seem like some good legislation, which I believe it is, but I kind of had some questions. Continuing medical education. So these are already doctors. So this is some continual education. So they will work in these federally funded health centers and rural health clinics. And they're going to provide training and clinical support for the doctors that are there to practice at their full scope and improve access to care for patients in underserved areas. I'm okay with this. This is giving them continuing education on hand, on the job training kind of thing. I just, the underserved areas kind of bother me because I don't want them experimenting on nobody. So that's Senate Bill 201, Representative Rosen, Democrat out of Nevada. Senate Bill 202 is a bill to ensure that veterans receive timely and effective emergency treatment during the COVID-19 emergency and for other purposes. I can tell you, there's a lot of bills here that deal with abortion and veterans, immigration, national security, gun legislation, and then streamlining the processes over in the House and in the Senate. So we'll see a lot of that. So this is our veterans, making sure that they get timely and effective emergency treatment. They just treat them so bad. I've heard some stories. Senator Shaheen, Democrat out of New Hampshire. That's Senate Bill 202. Senate Bill 203 is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to establish, y'all listen to my child coming in the door. Now he knows I do this broadcast, right? At 7 o'clock from 7 to 7:30. Now, why would he walk in the middle of my broadcast, y'all? This when you're living in the moment. Look at him walking in like nothing. Y'all can't see him, but I do. Senate Bill 203, everybody, is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to establish a new tax credit and a grant program to stimulate investment in healthy nutrition options in food deserts. So for those of us or those of you that live in communities where there's food deserts, this is some grant money coming down the pike. If we can do some community gardens or, feeding our communities, here's some money, get in position. I've said it and I'll say it again, and I'm gonna keep saying it. This is the time. If you don't have a nonprofit, if you're interested in starting a nonprofit, please do it. You know somebody that's interested in starting a nonprofit, tell them to do it. This Biden administration, there's gonna be monies coming. You don't wanna miss it. This is why we're paying attention to Congress, y'all. This is how they spend our money that we get none of, that doesn't come back and circulate through our communities because we don't know what the hell they're doing. So keeping up with Congress is keeping our eyes on this money, y'all. What are they doing? Like I said, where are the opportunities? Where is the money? Who is it going to? And how do we get some of it? Let's keep up with these people, because that's what they're doing, spending our money and making each other rich. Senate Bill 203. If you're in a community where there's a food desert and you can be a resource, here it is. Senator Warner, Democrat out of Virginia, Senate Bill 203. Senate Bill 204 is a bill to establish the Office of Press Freedom to create press freedom curriculum at the National Foreign Affairs Training Center. Y'all, I didn't even know there was a National Foreign Affairs Training Center, so I looked this up, and it's the George P. Shultz National Foreign Affairs Training Center. It's one of several locations that house the Foreign Service Institute, the United States government's training school for members of the U.S. Foreign Affairs community. Y'all, who knew this? Who knew that they had their own training center, their own training facility? Not many of us are involved in foreign affairs, but we could be, which, that we could be involved when we can go to Africa and we can go to some of these foreign nations and we can do some of this work. Look at the opportunity there, y'all. The National Foreign Affairs Training Center. And there's they're creating a press freedom curriculum. Interesting. Senator Schultz, Brian Schultz, Democrat out of Hawaii, Senate Bill 204. I actually looked it up even further. It was so intriguing to me to see, they actually have their own training for those that are engaged in foreign affairs that I didn't know it existed. So now we know. Like I said, we will never be experts in everything, but damn it, we'll know enough about it all. We'll know a little bit about this, a little bit about that. We won't be completely clueless. So that's what this is about. That's what Teaching with Tamara is about. I'm learning too. Senate Bill 205 is a bill to amend the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938 to provide more effective remedies to the victims of discrimination in the payment of wages on the basis of sex. Equal pay for equal work, y'all. Women's rights. Senate Bill 205. Senate Bill 206 is a bill to amend titles, 19 and 21 of the Social Security Act to require hospitals and certain other participating providers under Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program to disclose the provider's policy on parental consent for the provision, withdrawal, or denial of life-sustaining treatment for minors. So I looked up this policy on parental consent. Parental consent may refer to a parent's right to give consent or to be informed before the minor child undergoes medical treatment. This is Senator Mike Lee, Republican out of Utah. Senate Bill 206. Senate Bill 207 is a bill to amend. Y'all, this was the same bill. And here's where, going back to, I told you there's a lot of bills about abortion, veterans, immigration, national security. We'll see a lot of gun legislation and then streamlining these processes. Now, this bill looks very similar to the one I just read to you. Let me read this one. A bill to amend Title 19 and 21 of the Social Security Act to require hospitals and certain other participating providers under Medicaid or the Children's Health Insurance Program to disclose the provider's policy on parental access to the medical records of minors. So why did this senator not put this in one bill? Senator Mike Lee, why would you have two separate bills that are so similar? Why is this not one bill, 206 and 207? See these duplications in processes. So when we saw that bill where, it's one bill, one subject, one bill, it makes sense. This is the same information. Let's put this in the same bill. Senate Bill 206 and 207 would look like duplicates to me that could be in one bill. Same legislator. Senate Bill 208 is a bill to impose sanctions with respect to individuals associated with the government of the Russian Federation who are complicit in the poisoning and repression of citizens of the Russian Federation for political motives. Senator Coons, Democrat out of Delaware. Democrats concerned about the Russian Federation. Interesting. Senator Coons. Senate Bill 208. Senate Bill 209 is a bill to provide for assistance to rural water, wastewater, and waste disposal systems affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So my question was, how does COVID affect the water, the wastewater, and the waste disposal systems? Representative Shaheen, Jeanne Shaheen, Democrat out of New Hampshire. How does rural water, wastewater, and waste disposal systems, how are they affected by COVID? Are these maintenance issues that maybe went, that weren't taken care of? I don't know. Senate Bill 209, I told you I would have a lot of questions in Congress. Senate Bill 210 is a bill to prohibit states from suspending, revoking, or denying state-issued professional licenses or issuing penalties due to student default. Senator Marco Rubio out of Florida. So yeah, suspending, revoking, or denying state-issued professional licenses because of student default. Yeah, I mean, how are you going to pay your bills if you are suspending, revoking, or denying someone the ability to work? So I've seen that happen. So yeah, because you defaulted on your student loans, you're making it worse. So I get that. Senate, that's a good one, Marco Rubio. Senate Bill 210, y'all. Senate Bill 211 is a bill to prohibit the Secretary of Education from providing federal elementary and secondary education funds for the fiscal year of 2021 or COVID-19 relief funds to an elementary school or secondary school that does not offer in-person instruction. He is forcing them to go back to school if they don't, getting secondary and educational funds or some COVID relief funds if you're not offering in-person instruction. Senator Marco Rubio, Republican out of Florida. Senate Bill 212 is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to allow a refundable tax credit against income tax for the purchase of qualified access technology for the blind. So this is Senator Cardin Benjamin out of Maryland. Senate Bill 212. Senate Bill 213 is a bill to provide for a federal partnership to ensure educational equity and quality. See, these are these broad, vague words, and we don't quite know what that really means. Who is this federal partnership? A bill to provide for a singular federal partnership to ensure educational equity and quality. Who is this partnership with? Senator Cardin out of Maryland. When I see things like this, is like, who are you trying to help? A federal partnership, singular. Senate Bill 213. Senate Bill 214 is a bill to amend the Fair Credit Reporting Act to institute a 1-year waiting period before medical debt will be reported on a consumer's credit report, and to remove paid off and settled medical debt from credit reports that have been fully paid or settled, to amend the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act to provide a timetable for verification of medical debt, and to increase the efficiency of credit markets with more perfect information. So yeah, a lot of people get stuck and can't buy anything because they have medical debt on their credit report. So Senator Merkley, Democrat out of Oregon. I get this. Yeah, you have medical debt, you have these medical bills. At least give people an opportunity or a chance before you start reporting particularly negative information. Senate Bill 214. Senate Bill 215 is a bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to require certain tax exempt organizations to include on annual returns the names and addresses of substantial contributors. They're trying to figure out where this money is coming from. Some sort of loophole right there. Senator Tester, John out of Montana. Yep, trying to fix that. There's some big money coming into these tax exempt organizations. Senate Bill 215. Senate Bill 216 is a bill to direct the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency to establish a grant program to award grants to eligible entities to purchase and install, as applicable, zero emission port equipment and technology. You know, this administration is pushing towards zero emissions. I think by 2030, they're pushing really hard. So this is to establish a grant program to help purchase and install equipment and technology. Senator Merkley, Democrat out of Oregon, Senate Bill 216. Senate Bill 217 is a bill to permit the use of certain United States Postal Service formatting tools by healthcare organizations to improve the provisions of patient matching services. I knew nothing about this, and I had to look up what in the world was patient matching. So historically, patient matching has been important within organizations to help identify duplicate medical records. When master patient indexes moved from paper to electronic, organizations gave little thought to data exchange, data formatting, or how data is entered into a person's management system. Another challenge in the US healthcare system is that names are not unique and often change during a person's lifetime or as presented differently, or are presented differently. For example, Rob or Robert can never be used to identify a patient except in conjunction with more reliable information. One of the largest unresolved issues in the safe and secure electronic exchange health information is a nationwide patient data matching strategy that would ensure the accurate, timely, and efficient matching of patients with their healthcare data across different systems and settings of care. Now I get it. You know, when you have like names and you're trying to match people up with their data and their patient information, it seems to be a mess. That's what I'm getting from what I got from that our system is a mess. And Senate Bill 217 wants to use the Postal Service formatting tools. How does the Postal Service actually, you know, how they're able to match? So there's some correlation that they'd like to see happen. It looks like some good legislation. Senator Hassan, Margaret Hassan, Democrat out of New Hampshire, Senate Bill 217. Like I said, we will never be experts in all of this, but I don't want us to be clueless. I want us to really have some sort of working knowledge of these things that are happening in Congress, because this is our money. And like I said, there's a lot of people that are taking full advantage of it, and we are not. So let's keep up with Congress, y'all. And please, again, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and share this broadcast, y'all. I've been coming to you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. every week, y'all. I've been doing good. Senate Bill 217. Senate Bill 218 is a bill to approve certain advanced biofuel registrations to require the consideration of certain advanced biofuel pathways and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Y'all, I don't know anything about biofuels, so guess what? I looked that one up too. Senator Thune, John Thune, Republican out of South Dakota. Biofuels. Examples of biofuels include ethanol, often made from corn in the United States, sugarcane in Brazil. Biodiesel is sourced from vegetable oils and liquid animal fats. Green diesel is derived from algae and other plant sources. And biogas is methane derived from animal manure and other digestive organic materials, y'all. We are learning. I'm telling you, I feel like, okay, I don't have to understand it completely, but I have a working knowledge of it, of some of this stuff. So biofuels, y'all. And that was Senate Bill 218. Senate Bill 219 is a bill to require the Secretary of Veteran Affairs to increase the amount of certain payments during the emergency period resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. So they want to give our veterans a little extra money during this COVID season. Senator Cortez Masto, a Democrat out of Nevada. That's Senate Bill 219. Senate Bill 220 is a bill to provide emergency relief to youth, children, and families experiencing homelessness in the light of the health and economic consequences of COVID-19. Now, this is a Republican. Look at that. Senator Murkowski, Republican out of Alaska, or is that Arkansas? That's Alaska. AK, I think, is Alaska, y'all. Correct me in the chat. But the fact that it's a Republican, emergency relief to youth, children, and families experiencing homelessness, Republicans, y'all. Senate Bill 220. Like I say, all Democrats ain't good and all Republicans ain't bad. Let's continue to keep up with Congress. Senate Bill 221 is a bill to direct the Secretary of Defense to carry out a grant program to increase cooperation of post-traumatic stress disorder research between the United States and Israel. So we're going to do some post-traumatic stress disorder research between the United States and Israel. Republican Moran out of Kansas. Okay. Senate Bill 221, everybody. Senate Bill 222 is a bill to establish the American Opportunities Account. Y'all, this is Cory Booker. I had to look this one up. It doesn't, the text isn't there yet for this bill, but I'm like, Cory, what is this? Cory Booker, what is this? So this is a bill that he's introduced before. So Booker announces a new bill, this is 2018, the American Opportunity Accounts Act would create and seed savings accounts for every American child. That doesn't close the wealth gap, but the racial wealth gap. Here's the key word, the racial wealth gap. The American Opportunity Accounts Act aims to mitigate the growing wealth gap, not racial wealth gap, the growing wealth gap between American families by creating a seed savings account for every American child when they are born. The funds would sit in an interest-bearing account that would receive additional deposits each year depending on family income. At the age of 18, account holders could access the funds in the account for allowable users like buying a home or paying for educational expenses. The legislation is fully paid for by making common sense reforms to federal estates and inheritance taxes, including by restoring the 2009 estate tax law. So this is a bill introduced by Senator Cory Booker in this Congress, a bill that he has introduced before to create the American Opportunity Accounts Act to, he says, mitigate the growing wealth gap, but not the racial wealth gap. So this is going to make a lot of people even richer. Cory Booker, Senate Bill 222. Let's keep an eye on this one, y'all. Let me put this one in my notes. Senate Bill 222. We're gonna keep an eye on that one, Cory. You introduced it before, it didn't go anywhere, but let's see if this gets more traction than your Senate Bill 40, because he does have a reparations bill, Senate Bill 40, Cory Booker. Senate Bill 223 is a bill to establish the Office to Enforce and Protect Against Child Sexual Exploitation. That's Senator Wyden, Democrat out of Oregon. Senate Bill 224 is a bill to support research on privacy, enhancing technologies, and promote responsible data use. Yeah, I'm all about privacy and responsible data use. Senator Cortez Masto, Democrat out of Nevada. Senate Bill 225 is a bill to reform the antitrust laws to better protect competition in the American economy and to amend the Clayton Act to modify the standard for an unlawful acquisition to deter anti-competitive exclusionary conduct that harms competition and consumers, to enhance the ability of the Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission to enforce the antitrust laws. Amy Klobuchar. Interesting. To reform antitrust laws to better protect competition in the American economy. Sounds a little Republican-like. Amy Klobuchar. Amy Klobuchar, yeah. She'll do something that'll make me kind of be like, yeah, okay, Amy, I'm feeling it. And then she'll do something and I have to shake my head and wonder what she's doing and why. Senator Amy Klobuchar, Senate Bill 225. Oh yeah, you said the Democrats are out of control and ADOS have to be careful. We better pay attention. We better keep up with Congress. They are absolutely out of control. And this is the work that we need to be doing right here, right now, is keeping up with Congress. I totally agree with you there. So I am Tamara Johnson Shealy. Again, I come to you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. We take a look at these bills that are coming through Congress. Like he just said, the Democrats are out of control and ADOS have to be careful. For those of you that don't know, ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slavery. We have to be careful. Yeah, because we're going to get rocked right back to sleep by this Biden administration. And that would be the worst thing that could happen to all of us, particularly those of us who are descendants of slaves in this country, who delivered this presidency to Biden and delivered the United States Senate to the Democrats. So let's keep our eyes on Congress. I'll be back tomorrow night. We'll have House bills tomorrow. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep keeping up. We're going to keep our eyes on Congress. These are the kind of things we should be sharing in our social media and in our feeds. Let's talk about the issues. We don't have time to fight. We don't have time to fight each other. We got to fight them. We have to fight them. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Y'all know I got a little theme music now, so I'm gonna play that on the way out, and I will show your comments on the screen. Have a good night, everybody.